right, so today is September the 4th, 2025, and we are here looking at Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. So we are on CoinGlass and we're looking at the CoinGlass Legend. This is a really, really neat feature that I have grown accustomed to, and I want to dive into the Bitcoin price action and what I'm interpreting out of this recent move and what I'm watching for and what I'm anticipating in the next week or so for the Bitcoin price action. So let's just jump into a little bit of a history because we know that there's a few key things that we need to note in terms of the structure for Bitcoin. Actually, I'm going to zoom out a little bit further here just to prove my point. We'll zoom into the 6-hour chart, and I want to show you where this trend line break first happened. Okay, actually, we'll even zoom out a little further. Let's go to the 12-hour just to prove the point. So the 12-hour, okay, you can see we have a pretty clear trend line, right? We took this trend line way back here at 75K. This was in April, guys. So that started the trend when we first started this trend higher. Okay, we got a second point here, which gave us the trend line. 2 points, in my opinion, usually indicate a good trend line. And the third point is the really good time to buy the trend line. So you can see we sold off right into this trend line support and pushed back up. Okay. Now I want to mention that when you're looking at these white and blue and purple bars, these are the heat maps for the liquidation zones. Okay. So this is where leveraged traders can expect their position to be closed by the exchange because it's gone so far against them that their collateral no longer is large enough to meet the debt to equity ratio, and they get liquidated automatically. So when that happens, they're pissed off, of course, because they're getting liquidated out of the position, and the exchange obviously makes a lot of money doing that because it's forced selling, more transaction fees, etc. So exchanges love to liquidate longs and shorts and just piss off the entire market. And that's why most traders lose money, right? So, anyways, I wanted to explain that once we bounced off of this trendline support, we pumped up and look what happened. See these shorts getting massively liquidated right here at 120, and then one more push to 123. These are all the shorts that are essentially they were correct in this move, right? We did see a descending wedge way out here. So they were anticipating that the market was overbought and they were expecting Bitcoin to either pull back or start its bear market cycle, and they were right, but they still get liquidated. We're way up here, and then the price moves in their direction. So that's usually a good sign of consolidation as well, when longs get liquidated and then shorts get liquidated and then longs get liquidated right here, and then you know what I'm saying. Now we're expecting the shorts to get liquidated in the future. But what I want to explain is how we broke down. We had this very bearish engulfing candle on the 12-hour, and then we broke down and we break this trend line. Okay, so now let's zoom in. This is the 12-hour. Let's go back to the 4-hour, and we can get a sense of where we are. And I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin, so clearly I tend to have a bias towards looking for these bullish patterns, right? It's okay to admit that you do have an eye for bullish patterns if you're bullish, on the asset. So I'm pretty bullish. So what we were doing is we were looking for some support, and we saw this push down, and we were calling this out that we were very likely to get these liquidations so close to these exchanges getting those juicy liquidations that it's just so probable that we're going to end up filling this level here, this 111, 110 area. So what happened is we broke down the trend line, touched some of these liquidations, popped up, and we got a trend line retest. Yeah. So now that gives us a descending wedge, a chance to take a point of resistance from here to here and extend it out. Support's going to come from here to here and extend it out. So as we were kind of getting pinched, yes, the price is coming down, but this is usually a bullish pattern depending on where you are, right? You still have to analyze the higher time frames, the weekly and the monthly. But on the 4-hour, this would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see once we got back up to this trend line right here, we had a pretty nice battle of this trend line before we broke out higher. Okay, so you can see we did get a lot of nice long liquidations here. At the bottom, you can see the yellow bars here are the longs getting liquidated and the red are the shorts. So you can see we had a lot of nice long liquidations right here. And then right here, boom, we get a nice short liquidation right here. So you can see we're pushing up. Now, the next level I think that's starting to heat up right there is around 118K. There's going to be a big level at 116 as well as 114, as you'll see when I zoom in. But what I wanted to point out is we break out of the trend line. We haven't quite had a trend line retest yet. So that is very possible, extending this out and potentially getting one more bullish fake out, breaking out back down to like 107, right? Liquidating these guys right here, getting a trend line retest. We have to hold on to these lows right here. If we break below that, very likely that we'll retest 100K. So bulls are really defending this 100K level. And to do that, we need to defend the 110K level because that's kind of the premium that you have to pay right now if you want to buy Bitcoin at 100K to get that, perfect price tag of 100K. It might, you have to defend that level, right? So we as bulls, if it gets to 100K, then why not justify 98, 95? So we need to really hold on to this 110, and I would say like very, very minimum 105, like 106. Because if we do come into 100K, then everyone's mindset switches to, oh no, I have to sell at the six figure. I have to get out now, right? So that 100K price tag is huge. And so far, we did a pretty good job defending it. We break out of this little descending wedge, and now the bulls have something to hang on to, right? Something to dig into. So very nice. We got to pull back. We might not want to come all the way down and retest this. This might be good enough just to close this little gap here and start to move higher. But the 4 hour looks pretty bullish. We're going to jump into TradingView in a second, and I'm going to show you some of the indicators I'm looking at, some moving averages, some RSI movement that's very, very interesting. But for now, we're kind of just looking at the structure, and we're looking at the order flows and kind of where we can expect. Look at this huge gap. See, you can see between the long liquidations here and the short liquidations, there's a very vacuous little space here that kind of just, it's really asking for it. You can see the point of control where the most volume has traded is right here at 117. So that's also kind of pulling that price up to that level, that key level, where a lot of volume has traded, right? It's been a pretty key battleground for Bitcoin. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. I want to, before we get out of here off of the coin glass, I want to zoom in a little further. So now we jumped into the 1 hour, and now you can really see this. Look at this beautiful, I guess it's called the volume footprint on here. But you can really, now you can see, look at, as we were battling in this 108 area this morning, look at this. We wanted to break out, but no, we had to come all the way back down and liquidate these longs right here. Liquidated them. And then what happens? Pushes up. Because the smart money, they want to actually buy where the liquidations are, because those are all the panic sellers. Essentially, if you're long and you're getting liquidated, it's a panic sell. You're selling in the losses. And, smart money likes to buy when other people are panicking. So these little liquidation areas are actually really good reversal points. And I've noticed that, since I started watching this type of analysis. And you can see we push up, right? We really battle with this trend line. We get above it. We come back down to it. And look what happens. See this red line coming across the screen? This is the point of control. So you can see we're flirting with that trend line break. We liquidated these shorts, right? And then the bears really tried to push us down one more time, hit that point of control, and we saw a massive bullish candle. And then what happened? A little continuation, just enough to liquidate these shorts up here, right? Just liquidate these little shorts right here. You can see the liquidation happen right there. And then that's a beautiful spot of resistance. Come back down, liquidate the longs, right? Liquidate these longs. And now it creates a bit of a follow through. Let's go liquidate these longs down here. We liquidate that. All right, there's not a whole lot left down here unless we really want to push it back down to 107. But it seems like the path of least resistance now is all of this white juicy liquidation levels up here, right? So you can see 114 is going to be a very, very key level. If we hit that, it's very likely to pull back. But you can see, look at 116, right? If we come up to 116, it's going to be pretty, not very pretty, right, for the bears. But we'll have to see what happens. But anyways, I think this 1 hour is starting to look like it wants to push up higher now that we've liquidated some of these, these weaker hands. All right. Let's just check on that 15-minute. See what this is looking like here. Yeah, same thing. So it's going to show you the same data, right? But we're kind of just zooming in on it now and trying to understand what's really going on. So it's a really solid move off of this liquidation level right here. See that? Boom. And you can see what these little circles are it's kind of like a whale indicator, right? What is it called on here? Large trades. So if it's the bigger the circle, the bigger the trade, and red obviously means big selling, and green obviously means big buying. So we did see a little bit of a whale purchase right here, and that sent us up. It's not always accurate, but you can see there have been times where you can see that a big whale bought here and then sends it up. Big whale bought here, sends it up. Sell big whale sold here, down, right? So it does give you a little bit of um, footing, right? A little bit more to lean on when you're trying to take trades down here at these reversal levels. So anyways, there it is. A lot of shorts still at this 113 level. We cleared a lot of it out on this recent move up, but it is looking like it wants to push up higher just based on this structure, guys. Let's jump over to TradingView. Okay. So TradingView here, we're looking at it on the 4-hour. This is Bitcoin versus the US dollar. Again, you can see the descending wedge setup that I kind of had right here. We broke out of it. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of all that. Just remove the drawings. So now we can focus on the RSI bands, okay? So the RSI bands tell you when the market's overbought and oversold. And it also tells you where the 50% level is. This is the gray line here. And it also tells you where the 60% and the 40% is. This is where a lot of the battling happens. So you can see as we started to come down, right, we started to hold on to that bearish control coming into the overbought level, up, overbought level, up, right? So this little green line is the 20% level. Orange at the top is the 80%. That's overbought, right? So oversold, 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 popped up, hit overbought, down, back into oversold. See that? And then we kind of got tied up at the 60 here, still very bearish control. Back down the oversold. Okay, come up to the 50, hit resistance, break above it, and we couldn't quite get oversold yet. I think with this move, we're gonna want to see Bitcoin get overbought, right? We're gonna want to see Bitcoin get overbought. It's just been suppressed for so long since 1, 2, so 2 oversolds controlled at the 50, right? And now we kind of broke above it. We need to hold on to this 50. So see how already we held on to the 40? These little green dots coming across, sold off, pushed us right up off the 40% level. Because if we come into oversold again, that's not going to be good, right? Come into oversold and start trending down, that's not going to be good. We have to hold on to this 40 level on the 4-hour. Okay, that's what I'm interpreting from this chart. We really need to stay above 110, especially on the 4-hour. We need to close it. So we got about an hour left in this 4-hour. So we need to make sure we close above 110, 110K. And then the overbought level will be around 114. So what I'm expecting is if we're going to actually have a bullish move and we're going to call this like a descending wedge breakout, what I'm going to expect is to have one push up into the 114, 115 level, liquidate all those shorts that we just looked at, back down to the 50, right? In September, I'm not expecting huge things. I'm expecting kind of some sideways action, maybe plus 5 or 6% on the month. But we're really gearing up for what we think is going to be bullish October, November, and potentially December. But I think ultimately we come into overbought, hold on to that 50. It takes us back up to 18K or so. By the end of the month, we'll probably sell off back into 115, and that's what we'll probably end off the month, in my opinion, for Bitcoin. And remember, this is all speculation, right? You can't take this. You can't take this as financial advice. I'm just trying to show you how I'm thinking about this price action. Okay, so that's kind of looking at the bands. Let's zoom out onto the daily. See, so the daily paints a pretty scary picture. Because we didn't quite come into the oversold level. You can see the green band kind of floating down here. And we did come below the 40, right? So technically it was very bearish, but we couldn't get that full sell-off into oversold. And now, some might say that's bullish, but for me, I don't know. I think it is likely that we will see an oversold daily at some point. Maybe not here, maybe not right here, But at some point, you will get an oversold daily, right? It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So I'm looking at that, and we'll have to keep you updated going forward with this daily chart. Let's jump back into the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, you can see really nicely why we're kind of bouncing towards the end of the day today. Came into the oversold and pushed up, right? You can see every time we got overbought, it's kind of pointed to a key sign of resistance. Right here, we got overbought, back down oversold. Right here, overbought, held on to the 40, right? Overbought, held on to the 50, overbought. Eventually, you will come into oversold. So when we zoom in on the 1 hour, that creates a pretty good picture of what I'm talking about there. What else did I want to look at here? Let's jump over to the video creation template. Because here we're looking at the moving average and we're looking at the very long-term Fibonacci's. But you can see that on this 4 hour, right, we've got some pretty heavy resistance. We got some pretty long-term moving averages. I'll open this up. So we've got 50, 100, 200, and 300 moving average. And you can see a lot of crossing over here, right, on the 4 hour. And you can see we keep coming up to this moving average, right? Down, up, down. So we're really trying to battle on here, and we're trying to get up and push up that 15K level. You can see in the past, there have been sort of fake out bearish cross scenarios where you get the moving averages crossing over and then we pop up and we continue on. But this is pretty heavy, bearish indication here for me. So ultimately, how I'm thinking about this is I don't know where the price is going to go. I know when there's conflicting data that it probably is a good time to take a little position off just for the uncertainty aspect of it. And I'm talking about the long-term holdings, right? And then potentially make some active trades, right? You layer on a little bit of active management and you can take a little bit of margin positions. So what I'm seeing here is yes, price wants to move higher from 110 up to 115, but you can expect a serious push downwards off of these levels. And until we can really get back up to this 141 extension at 120K and hold these moving averages as support, Bitcoin will be in a very sideways sort of consolidation type of price action where we have to hold on to 110 for the bulls, and the bears really have to defend this 118. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. We'll have to see how Bitcoin handles these 4 hour moving averages. Let me jump into the 1 hour here and see if we're getting any support. So you can see 1 hour, right? We break it down. Look, so see how this red 300 period moving average never got broken, right? As soon as we kind of broke below it, right? Resistance down. Now these shorter term moving averages really act as the entry points for the bears, kind of liquidated them just to keep them on their toes, right? Hit the 300, down, right? Back down, and hit the 300, back down. So finally, it looks like this 1 hour has really been able to build up a base of support, come back up to that 300, get above it a little bit, back down to it. We're really battling out these moving averages. We're starting to see some crosses. You can see right here, this was a good buy signal when these moving averages crossed over. That's the 50 crossing over the 100. And right now, it's just a battle of the averages. This is where the average entry price is for the last 300 hours. So not bad. And ultimately, look at that. There's that 141 just sitting up there. Yeah, we're gonna have to really get above these averages and then start testing them as support. But right now it's looking pretty good. Let's see the 15 minutes. Yeah, 15-minute is there's really not a whole lot of information here. Cross here, cross here, cross here, cross here. Very much a consolidation on the 15-minute chart. I'm going to look at one last template here. Let's look at the chart prime. So again, chart prime is really where I just look at the RSI as well as the MACD as well as this 50 period moving average. Very, very critical. If you go on this daily, I know that the 50 period, I'm going to zoom in here. 50-period moving average is sitting right up here. See how it flipped bearish? It started to turn orange. We got below it. So we really need to cross 114, and we need to close a day above this 114 level to continue the bullish picture. But again, here on this chart, you can see I'm very concerned about this trend line break. 1, 2, and then here we broke it, and that started this little bearish cycle. Now you can see the descending wedge, so I'm watching that closely. But this 50-period moving average is very heavy with selling activity. We need to get above it. See the point of control up here at around 118, this red line. So, you know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough to really imagine that the bull market cycle is over, that it's kind of cut short this year. Um, August being the top. Typically, we do see the tops coming towards the end of the year, right around December. But I am thinking in the back of my mind that it might be a little bit crowded, trying to get out with all of the retail investors, all of the Twitter people, and everyone who's talking about the extended bull market. But I'll be watching this moving average carefully because you watch the stuff enough, and you know that it can be very, very deadly once you get below this 50-day moving average. Down, up, resistance, down, up, resistance, down, up. Right? See this resistance, we break above it, and that starts this sort of bull market cycle, and now we're below it. Right? It can happen where you get below it and then it comes back above it and carries on. Right? But like it has happened in the past. But you know what I mean? Once this flips bearish, it's very, very cautionary, especially with 100K sitting down here. And guys, there's a trend line here that has not been considered yet. I have not seen too many people talking about this, where I take a trend line from here to here, right? 2 points starts the trend, and the third confirms it. So there is still very much this case where this drags out and touches the trend line. See, that takes us into October. And then what? We get a bullish November, December. I don't know. If this does come back into 100K, it might want to roll over and come back down to 40K. Like that, I think that is where the next, big trend line support is. See how I'm kind of looking for this. Everyone's looking for where the next 67% drop is going to be. Does it continue higher and then drop 67%? Or, you know what I mean? Is this already the 67% drop? Right? Something like this. Take it from the top. Right? Let's just anchor that in. So that would take, around 40K or so, right? It's possible. Look at this old structure over here, right? This little structure right here before we went up, tested it. There's probably a lot of volume that traded there, a big volume profile level. So, you know what I mean? It's not inconceivable to imagine that the top has happened at around 125K. Okay. So just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to scare anybody, you know what I mean? I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I have been for a very long time. Bitcoin is the best long-term asset you can have on the planet. It's really just consumed all of my time. I mean, I used to look at Forex, stocks, commodities. I still like gold, but Bitcoin is really, really fundamentally sound, and I'm bullish very long term. So keep that in mind as you're watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.